Robert Mueller's investigation found 10 possible acts of obstruction of justice. Let us examine what Mueller discovered in his own words as laid down by the report. Act 9. President Trump encouraged Michael Cohen to lie about Trump Tower Moscow.
According to Michael Cohen, personal lawyer to Donald Trump, in approximately September 2015, he obtained internal approval from Trump to negotiate on behalf of the Trump Organization to have a Russian corporation build a tower in Moscow that licensed the Trump name and brand. Cohen thereafter had numerous brief conversations with Trump about the project.
Cohen recalled that Trump wanted to be updated on any developments with Trump Tower Moscow, and on several occasions brought the project up with Cohen to ask what was happening with it. Trump signed a letter of intent for the project that specified highly lucrative terms for the Trump Organization.
November 3, 2015, the day after the Trump Organization transmitted the letter of intent, Felix Sater,
Russian-American mobster, convicted felon, and real estate developer,
emailed Cohen suggesting that the Trump Tower project could be used to increase candidate Trump's chances at being elected.
Buddy, our boy can become president of the USA, and we can engineer it. I will get all of Putin's teams to buy in on this. I will manage the process. Michael, Putin gets on stage with Donald for a ribbon cutting for Trump Moscow, and Donald owns the Republican nomination and possibly beats Hillary, and our boy is in. We will manage this process better than anyone. You and I will get Donald and Vladimir on stage together very shortly. That's the game changer.
Sater and Cohen continued to discuss a trip to Moscow. On May 4th, 2016, Sater followed up.
I had a chat with Moscow. Assuming the trip does happen, the question is before or after the convention. I said I believe, but don't know for sure, that it's probably after the convention. Obviously, the pre-meeting trip, you only, can happen anytime you want, but the two big guys were the question.
My trip before Cleveland, Trump once he becomes the nominee after the convention.
May 5, 2016, Sater followed up with a text that Cohen thought he probably read to Trump.
Peskov would like to invite you as his guest to the St. Petersburg Forum, which is Russia's Davos. It's June 16 to 19. He wants to meet there with you and possibly introduce you to either Putin or Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. This is perfect. The entire business class of Russia will be there as well. He said anything you want to discuss, including dates and subjects, are on the table to discuss.
Cohen recalled discussing the invitation with candidate Trump and saying that Putin or Medvedev might be there.
Trump said that he would be willing to travel to Moscow if Cohen could lock and load on the deal.
August 2017. Cohen recalled telling Jay Sekulow, the president's personal counsel, who did not have firsthand knowledge of the project, that there was more detail on Trump Tower Moscow that was not in the written statement to the Senate Intelligence Committee, including there were more communications with Russia and more communications with candidate Trump than the statement reflected. Cohen stated that Jay Sekulow responded,
"Oh, sorry. It was not necessary to elaborate or include those details because the project did not progress, and that Cohen should keep his statement short and tight, and the matter would soon come to an end. His client appreciated Cohen, that Cohen should stay on message and not contradict the president, that there were no need to muddy the water, and that it was time to move on."
September 17, 2018, this office submitted written questions to the president that included questions about the Trump Tower Moscow project and attached Cohen's written statement to Congress and the letter of intent signed by the president. Among other issues, the questions asked the president to describe the timing and substance of discussions he had with Cohen about the project, whether they discussed a potential trip to Russia, and whether the president at any time directed or suggested that discussions about the Trump Moscow project should cease, or whether the president was informed at any time that the project had been abandoned. November 20, 2018, the president submitted written responses that did not answer those questions about Trump Tower Moscow directly and did not provide any information about the timing of the candidate's discussions with Cohen about the project or whether he participated in any discussions about the project being abandoned or no longer pursued. Instead, the president's answers stated in relevant part,
I had few conversations with Mr. Cohen on this subject. As I recall, they were brief and they were not memorable. I was not enthused about the proposal, and I do not recall any discussion of travel to Moscow in connection with it. I do not remember discussing it with anyone else at the Trump Organization, although it is possible. I do not recall being aware at the time of any communications between Mr. Cohen and Felix Sater and any Russian government official regarding the letter of intent.
November 29, after Cohen's guilty plea had become public, the president spoke to reporters about the Trump Tower Moscow project.
I decided not to do the project. I decided ultimately not to do it. There would have been nothing wrong if I did do it. If I did do it, there would have been nothing wrong. That was my business. It was an option that I decided not to do. I decided not to do it. The primary reason, I was focused on running for president. I was running my business while I was campaigning. There was a good chance that I wouldn't have won, in which case I would have gone back into the business. And why should I lose lots of opportunities?
The president also said that Cohen was
a weak person. And by being weak, unlike other people that you watch, he is a weak person. And what he's trying to do is get a reduced sentence. So he's lying about a project that everybody knew about. Even if Cohen was right, it doesn't matter because I was allowed to do whatever I wanted during the campaign.